Church, the devotion today I have for you is entitled Waiting on God's Promises. Now, the hardest thing to do is wait on God's promises when you receive a promise from God. Now, we find ourselves in the moment when we get the promise that we want it to be done today. We feel it's immediate and we want to do whatever we can do to make that promise be fulfilled in that time. But the truth is, when you receive a promise from God, there can be a very long time before that promise reveals itself to you. So today I'll be reading out of the book of Genesis, chapter 15, verses 5. Then he brought him outside and said, "Look now towards the heavens and count the stars, if you are able to number them." And he said to him, "So shall your descendants be." And this is God speaking to Abraham. Abraham was very old in his age. He was in his 80s at the time when God gave him the promise. But he trusted God. And he knew that God was going to provide him with the descendants that he promised him. And Abraham waited up until 10 years before the promise actually was completed. Now, during that 10 years, though, Sarah, Abraham's wife, decided to take the matters into her own hands. And that's sometimes what we do. As in that waiting period, is we want to take these matters into our own hands. And what she did was she took her servant and gave her to Abraham, and which caused separation between her and Abraham, and even separations between those descendants to today. And church, I was given a promise, and it was one of the hardest things that I had to walk through, was that time period, because I wanted to do so much on my own, and I wanted to take matters in my own hand, and just waiting and standing by and letting God do it was the most difficult thing that I ever had to experience and do. But knowing at the end of the day, when God completes that promise, because he hasn't completed it yet, but he's working towards it, it's going to show the strength that God has to make it possible that he's done something that I wouldn't be able to do on my own. So when your promises come to pass, church, it's great to know that you can stand firm and rely on God to get you through it and to have him come full circle. But I encourage you, church, today, don't be a Sarah. Don't try to make it happen on your own, but instead wait on God's promises. Quit stressing about how and when God's promises is going to be completed. And even though you might not see a way, God still has a way, and God's going to do it for you, church.